Oh, sorry, thank you. Yeah.
Ready?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Father, in the name of Jesus, as we come before you, we ask for your guidance, your wisdom, as we do the business of this great state of Georgia. Bless us in a special way, Father. And Lord, we remember the people in Ukraine today. We ask for your blessing upon them. Make peace happen in that country. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, kind of scratchy. Senator Davenport, if you are ready, come forward and wherever if you'd like to sit or stand, either place is fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, and to the members of this committee. I'm delighted today to be here to present Senate Bill 108. And this bill basically creates the Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And we want to transfer the direction and the supervision from the Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation Agency to the commission. This commission will be appointed 2 persons by the governor, 2 by the lieutenant governor, and 2 by the Speaker of the House. The persons for the blind and visually impaired have said they really need some help. They are employable, they're workable, and they want to work, and they need the skills to do that. Those who do not have the skills are willing to learn. And so we just feel that it's necessary to create this commission. One of the things that we see here in the substitute, the language that will say, and it pertains to the library services, because it's a federal program, the Library of Congress. This will say that the Georgia Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled, a division of the Georgia Public Library Service, provide a paid position of the librarian certified by the Office of the Georgia Secretary of State, whose sole duty is to serve as a liaison to the Georgia Commission for the Blind, ensuring that all offerings of the program are actively and robustly utilized by as many blind and visually impaired citizens as possible, including audiobooks, standard library service, Braille service, and other physical as well as electronic accommodation options. And let me just say that when you create this commission for the blind, and it's not under the Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation Agency, all the funds, the money will follow the commission. So there will be no break from the money. And then with the library service, they will have a paid position to be a liaison, and they will do that. And we talked to the library service, and we are bringing that today. We have persons here from that community, and I think the youngest one is in her mother's lap. And there's one right there. They have come 2 or 3 times to make sure. And the last time this did pass the Senate, and we just ran out of time. So this year we're bringing it back. Thank you very much. If there are questions, I will be happy to answer.
Do we have any questions to my colleagues? Nothing right now. Okay, oh, wait a minute, we do. 26.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'm a little unclear from where's it coming from what entity to this new entity?
The Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation Agency. That's where it's housed now, but we're creating one at a commission, and this will be the commission, and the money will follow there.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4. Sorry.
Hey, that's okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Senator for this. And I guess mine was on the same line. So the Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation Agency will still be in effect, but we're just putting a commission for the visually impaired. Is that?
No, and this will be a total separate commission.
Okay. So,
So where you see, if you see department anywhere there, then it should read now, Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
okay.
A
And
total separate commission, but those funds that were there where they were helping the blind, it will go to the commission now. The money will follow the commission.
Madam, my follow-up, I guess my follow-up is, so now the Department of Human Services would be responsible for the commission instead of the vocational.
Georgia Real Patient, yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Number 12.
Hi, thank you, Senator, for bringing this bill.
Thank you.
And I think I was following kind of along in that line. Do you know what other vocational rehabilitation that the current agency does? I'm assuming the blind is just one portion under that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that will continue in existence, helping whatever other, okay.
Mhm.
And then just out of curiosity, and you may not know the answer, do you know about what the population is of blind citizens in Georgia?
Before, when that came up in the other committee meeting, persons from the blind said it was 250,000,
Okay,
but I understand it's over 200,000.
great. Thank you so much. I appreciate the bill.
Okay.
Thank you. Number 24.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for presenting this. I'm trying to see what LC are we talking about? Is it the blue or is that the substitute
It's
LC?
a substitute. It should be LC 339133S.
Okay,
I think.
okay. And my follow-up question to this is, you're saying we're forming a brand new commission? Is that
Yes,
what- Do you know what other southern states do this, or how would we be, compared to the rest of the country, if you will?
what other southern states, I do not know. Is lead council here or?
Okay, I was just
We
curious.
we
is
have
this a-
Chris Wells here and he'll know, I'm sure that he will be able to give us some of that information, statistical information. So
Okay.
if
thank
you can just hang on to that question for a second.
And I think some persons who will be testifying might have some of the answers also.
Is she on? Oh, okay. Tell me how to do that.
And I think we have some persons from the community that's on the Zoom.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, 28. Is that you?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative.
Just a real quick question, I don't know if I caught this in the presentation or not. Thank you, first of all, for bringing the bill. We are taking this responsibility out from under the Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation Agency, forming this new commission. Are there other responsibilities for the rehabilitation agency that will remain intact?
Not from this commission.
Right, but I'm talking about from.
Not from the
They
duties.
have other responsibilities, so that agency will stay intact.
That
in
agency will
place,
stay intact
And
and
we
in
are
place.
creating a new commission, so.
Community
okay.
commission, and the money that they had allocated for that will follow the new commission.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 21. Oh, that's you. I'm
That's
sorry,
me.
man.
That's all right, Madam
Sorry.
Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator, thank you for bringing this bill. I've got numerous of texts from people who wanted it, and I thank you for bringing it. Now, you did mention that, and I can't find the line that it's on, that the appointees will be made. What line is that? I know you said the governor, the Speaker of the House.
It's kind of close to the beginning.
Hold on one second here.
Okay,
It was line 118,
118,
page 6.
page 6.
Wait a minute,
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator.
wait a minute, let me.
Okay, number
Yes.
16.
Yeah, the chairperson, and the governor will appoint the chairperson, one person, and then the two from the lieutenant governor and the governor.
Thank you.
Does it work? There we go.
Representative Mitchell.
Thank you very much for bringing the bill. When I look through the Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation website, I noticed that one of the programs that's currently under management there is Georgia Industries from the Blind. Is that moving to this commission then? I'm
Yes,
seeing
it is. On the very first page here, you'll see transferring the direction and supervision of the Georgia Industries from the Blind from the Georgia Vocational Rehabilitation Agency to the commission. So it will be moving there.
Thank you.
And that's online. Gosh. 30.
Representative Singleton is online. Can you hear us?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, thank you very much. Just a quick question about the dollars. So the rehabilitate, I understand that the rehabilitation, that's not going to go away. It's just going to move the blind portion. My question is about the fund allocation. It's my understanding that in the budget, we've allocated to the larger organization, and then they break that monies down by which goes to which one of their programs within it. Is that correct?
That is my understanding.
And so my question is, thank you, Senator. My question is then, do we know exactly how much money will be going with this commission, and have we appropriated the monies appropriately in your view for fiscal year 23 if we do create this commission?
I don't know how much money, but whatever is allocated for this will go to the commission.
Okay. I guess my question is, if this commission is created, if we don't know the exact dollar amount, do we have a commitment from, do we have a commitment from someone saying exactly how much money is going to move over with the commission, or is that still fungible and could still change?
Well, my understanding is whatever money is assigned there will go with the commission.
We
So I-
really needed a fiscal note with this so that would have answered Representative Singleton's question. That's really what he's asking you is where is there a fiscal note with this? Am I right, like counsel? Packed, right.
There's no fiscal note to that.
Right. That'll come, that we'll have to look into that. Representative Shannon, are you with us?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to say thank you, Senator Davenport, for bringing this bill. Recently, I've gotten a lot of communication from constituents who are visually impaired, who are requesting over and over again that we update the code as it refers to the visually impaired and sort of just kind of update the policies and resources. So I just wanted to thank you for bringing the bill.
Thank you. And then okay. Are we ready to go on to our public? DJ McIntyre? You know what, DJ, before I let you speak, let me let Chris Wells from the Department of Human Resources. Let me bring him up and let him, because he can answer a lot of the questions that were answered. No, who's number 10? Okay, can you hold that for just a minute, Representative Hallow? Is that all right? Thank you. I'd like to introduce Mr. Chris Wells. I've gotten to hear from him a couple of different times through appropriations with the Department of Human Services. And Mr. Wells has been with us just a little bit over a year. He hit the ground running. So I'm just going to ask you to slow it down for our southern ears so that.
My apologies. I get a little passionate sometimes.
Yes,
so.
you do. Yes, sir, you do. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. My name is Chris Wells. I've been the executive director for GVRA for a little over a year and a half now. So I first wanted to say thank you for Senator Davenport for bringing this, and the team and the individuals that spoke on the bill in the previous iterations. Advocacy is what we're looking for. And we do appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and answer questions and hopefully resolve some of the concerns that were brought up. But basically, GVRA is a five program agency. We have an administrative department. We have VR, and under vocational rehabilitation, that's our largest program. So under that program, it's about $120 million program or so, give or take what that federal match looks like. And within that program, we are responsible for serving individuals that are seeking competitive integrated employment. So for individuals that are coming into our office, they have to first want to be employed and want to work. And so that's sometimes some of the stipulations on some of the funding that we receive from the federal government there. To answer your question, yes, there are approximately 260,000 individuals in the state of Georgia that's blind. There's approximately 1.2 million individuals that have a disability. And so it's our responsibility to provide resources to individuals, no matter what their potential disability may be, in order to create an opportunity for employment. And it has to be essentially competitive integrated employment. Right now, we have 89,122 students that have a 504 plan or IEP. And if those students or individuals have that particular plan, they're potentially eligible for our particular services. So we don't ask any questions. They need their parents' permission, and we can go into the school, work with the Department of Education, and we can provide career coaching, job counseling, and some of those opportunities there. And then we can work with individuals from basically 14 to 21, 22, and try to get those individuals on a VR caseload. And if they become eligible based on financial need, based on competitive integrated employment, we can put them in school. We can create or you can eliminate barriers to provide opportunities for individuals to go to work. And so that's the bulk of our particular agency on the VR side. We also have Social Security Administration, which is our second largest program. And I think this bill really speaks to our Georgia Industries for the Blind, as well as our Business Enterprise Program. Those are the two programs that are specifically designed to serve the population that are blind or visually impaired. In the BEP program, we have approximately 57 vendors that support 1,800 individuals. And a lot of times when you see vending across the state, we basically serve those vending communities. We also work with Fort Benning, Fort Gordon, where we operate those cafeterias. And again, our vending population, provides opportunities for approximately 1,800 individuals here in Georgia. Our Georgia Industries for the Blind is in Griffin, as well as Bainbridge, Georgia. And that program has been in existence since the early 1900s per se. And part of that particular program is we have to maintain 75% blind ratios. And so we have a manufacturing plant that we're working to supply or provide opportunities. What we've done during the year and a half that I've been in this particular role is we've developed opportunities for synergies. I can't speak to some of the decisions or some of the points that probably have been made before my time, but in the year and a half, we streamlined a lot of our operations. We have had circumstances where customer service has been an issue. What we've tried to do to try to balance the safety of our employees during this pandemic is every Wednesday at 12 o'clock or 6:30, individuals can log on to our website. They can get all of their questions answered. They can meet with a counselor. They can meet with a district manager, or sometimes including myself, to be able to understand the VR process, speak to individuals. And if information gets a little bit too personal, we try to have those individuals reach out independently or to a counselor. So that's what we've tried to do over the course of this pandemic in order to speak to some of the issues and some of the concerns of various constituents. I definitely understand that it's been tough over the last couple of years, but what this bill does essentially with it pulling out close to 25% of the agency itself is we feel that we lose a little bit of those synergies that we've developed over the last few years. And we feel that we've developed a mechanism to be able to bring individuals in quicker. We've moved to our application online. First thing I read is our 2017 CSNA, and that tells you like what of our constituents are saying, what are our stakeholders are saying. And one of the biggest things was barriers to mobility. Mobility is one of the biggest keys. Well, we at GVRA are designed to serve the entire state, and we only had 42 field offices. What we've done is, as we've closed field offices, we've actually invested in our network infrastructure that now is going to allow anybody, whether it's a parent, whether it's a school, whether it's a stakeholder, anybody can now go into our new referral module that's going to be released in the next few weeks for individuals to apply for services. So we think that that's going to also speed up some of the time and the concerns that we've heard. So we've invested in order to perform better, be better, and do better. And so we feel that this bill could potentially or will mitigate a lot of those synergies that we've even developed in the last year and a half. And so we do appreciate the advocacy. We definitely understand, and we're open to any ideas to be able to assist and help. But in this particular case, we do feel that we're heading in the right direction. And I'm not saying we can't do more. We will do more.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Wells? Representative Campbell.
Chair, I was confused on the 25% number that you threw out. What was that 25% coming out of the original?
So potentially, so right now BEP is a $2.9 million budget. We receive state funds. Those state funds are used to match. We also get about $5 million in product revenues for that. And then depending on what is decided on the VR side, because what we've done over the last year and a half to streamline our operations is we have pathways. So if a counselor wants to come in and work for our visually impaired or our deaf and hard of hearing, they only receive those type cases. And so we've done that over the last year or so. And so we would have to go in and look at some of those metrics. But right now, our counselors are designed to take on many of the cases. But in order to serve the populations and make sure that each population is served to in a positive manner, we have our transition cases, which these are individuals that are coming out of school with potential opportunities to go to college. We have our deaf and hard of hearing cases, which we have counselors specifically for that. We have our our visually impaired cases where we have individuals working those. And so if you take into account a lot of those, mixing of the revenues and funds there, it would remove quite a bit of funds out of the agency itself. But again, we feel that we've developed some synergies there to be able to kind of work more closely with our community instead of work in competition with this potential commission.
Good. Representative.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Wells, what you're saying is what your program is doing, you feel like just needs a little bit more time, and you're, no disrespect to the senator, because I think it's a great program, but what you're saying is let y'all's service continue on before we make a drastic change like this. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is exactly what I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Number 10.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative.
So my question is, when you talked about the counselors, you don't have dedicated counselors for those that are visually impaired.
We
Or
do.
you do?
We do. We do.
And are those counselors sharing in other caseloads with those who are not visually impaired?
They were back in basically December of 2021. Recently, that was one of the initiatives after we were able to get through a couple things to move cases away. So we may have a couple cases here and there where a counselor may have worked with that particular individual and have developed that particular relationship. So there may be a couple cases here and there, but we try to make sure that our counselors are concentrated. I think the pandemic has affected that a little bit with our ability to be able to bring individuals on in a rapid capacity. But with the initiative with the 5,000, we're already seeing more interest. We've also been able to increase the pay for our counselors. So we think as we gain more counselors, we can make sure that there is no cross-pollination when it comes down to our clients. But right now there may be one or two, but again, December of 2021, we tried to move away from the mixing of the cases, which was occurring before I arrived.
And a follow-up question. You said you put information online. how do the individuals in the blind community access information that's online?
So one of the things that we do, so we work with Microsoft Teams. We also have various assistant work technology individuals that are working with us. And so what we try to do is communicate every quarterly, what are our goals, what are our objectives, what are some of the things, and if individuals are indicating that they want to reach out, we have a 15, 16 member assistant work technology team that can help us basically make sure that individuals have the resources that they need to tap in online.
One last,
What he's not saying is there's computers that talk.
no,
So that's.
I'm absolutely aware, Madam Chair, that there are computers that talk. So my follow-up question to
So
that,
we
do you
have
produce
JAWS.
information in Braille?
Again,
Do you produce information in Braille?
we, as an agency, we don't, but we contract out because that service is so specialized. We used to have braillers on staff, but in order to keep those individuals on staff, we decided to have a statewide effect. It was actually more conducive to actually contract that out. So we have about 5 basically providers that provide that service throughout.
I think my question is for the information, do you produce it in blind for them in Braille for those who are blind, visually impaired to read it and or have it? When you talk about the information being accessible, is it accessible to those individuals in a way that they can read it and interpret it?
So from a Braille perspective, we don't do that at the moment, but that's something that we can work towards improving. Absolutely.
Because that would be my question, Madam Chair. If you assume that every blind person has a computer that can talk, the resources in this state are not applicable to that. And if the information that you're putting out, they can't actually read it because it's not in Braille, then really you're not putting any information out to that community.
Absolutely. And there's also a program that I think comes through Voc Rehab with the radios. And there's specific radio programs that read newspapers and have some other resources for people that, and the radios are free, and we try to get them to.
And you're referencing the Georgia Radio Network. We've
Thank
tried to
you.
work closely with them to be able to develop a partnership to basically be able to expand our reach. But your point is well made. We can definitely improve and make that adjustment.
Because when I read the language in this bill, there are individuals who are both blind and deaf, and so they need information in Braille. They cannot use a computer. They must have it in Braille because they're deaf and blind. And so without having that access, then we're truly handicapping this community by not giving them the tools to have the information. And we are assuming because we have sight and we can hear, we're not in their position. And so you don't have accommodations for those who are blind and deaf to read or have information in Braille.
Point taken.
Right.
Excellent point.
Number 29, Representative Wade.
Thank you, and to the committee and to the sponsor of the bill and to the gentleman speaking. I apologize for my tardiness. I had another committee I had to present. So if you had already answered this question or presented it, I just want to make sure I'm clear. And separately, I'd love to talk with you both at some point, kind of from the perspective, just because I want to learn more about it. And I've got members of my church that are in the blind community. My wife's a special ed director and an assistant principal at a middle school, and she serves exceptional students. And so she is very much more skilled in this area. But ultimately, a lot of times what I see when we have an agency that has tasked to do extremely important work, the delivery channels face log jams due to lots of external factors. And so I'd really like to have an understanding of the distribution model that you guys are using to ensure that, you know, there's somewhere between 200 and 250,000 citizens that we know of, correct? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, what does that distribution look like in 159 counties? And what's the proximity of those service providers? I just want to learn. I think it's a very, very important conversation, and definitely want to see if there's something that can be tweaked that we at the legislature need to do. And I'm to the gentlelady that brought the bill, I'm not necessarily against a standalone committee or commission, but I'm often concerned that sometimes fixing what's already there and addressing what is the biggest issue doesn't necessarily necessitate a brand new standalone, because that could be just another set of bureaucratic issues that don't necessarily meet those people where they need it most. So, but I appreciate the bill, appreciate the conversation. My question is what do you think the biggest hindrance to meeting the needs of these people are, and the other than funds? I want to know is the functional issues that you've faced, and I know COVID was a part of it, but other than money and COVID, what's the structural issue that you've got?
Well, I think when we talk about our GIB agency itself, it's manufacturing. And so a lot of times our product line, and we haven't adjusted our products and our revenue, and Jonathan and our team is working on things like that. So what we're seeing, and just me coming into the agency, is just there's just certain things that probably could have been done better. What we feel, with the 5,000 that is included in the budget, we've readdressed our counselors. I think that's been one of the biggest concerns, the number of counselors. I think that's the ultimate key. And that's where we as an agency have pivoted, where we want to put our money where our mouth is, and our money is with our counselors. And so during this pandemic, we've been able to address a lot of those concerns, set up a career ladder. We actually reduced our qualifications to allow more individuals who want to work with our various communities have that ability. And so we submitted our changes to the federal government. We've seen some changes there. So for us, you're right. It's not just about money, or I've never said money was an issue when I came into the agency. I'm a finance individual, so we kind of got to know how to make that stuff work. But I think as we've made the changes and putting a really good team in place and having a unified vision, we're seeing those changes, and we're seeing those changes for the positive. I think as we come out of COVID, I think with what the General Assembly has done over the last year and a half, helping this particular agency, we're seeing a lot of those things happen. So if I were to say one thing, I would say, counselors. And so we're moving in that particular direction. We have it. There's a lot of studies. The first thing I came in is, what is a good caseload? And so you hear about what the average caseload is. We develop metrics to try to aim for 150 on our caseload. Sometimes some people consider that to be a little high. So what we did is we looked at 150 for our general transition cases, and reducing that number down to 75 for our deaf and hard of hearing, our blind, low vision, and our deaf blind population. So our counselors then aren't working 150 cases. They have us concentrated. So we've made those changes, and we're moving towards that. I think that second tier is as we've made changes to our hiring practices, and we're seeing individuals showing interest that wasn't interested before, that's going to be the key. And we're already seeing some positive signs there.
Thank you. Let me take one more question, and then we'll let the citizens speak, and then we'll come back. How's that? Number 10, I think that's you, Representative Mello.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. Follow-up question to my good friend, Representative Wade. Do you have any staff members on your staff that are blind or visually impaired?
Yes, sir. Our statewide coordinator, Ms. Shirley Robinson, she oversees our blind program and our older blind program. And so she oversees that. We have Mr. Russell, what's Russell's last name? Fleming. He oversees our deaf blind program. So a year ago, we established, that was one of the changes. And that was one of the critiques, is we didn't have populations that were represented. So we created a statewide coordinator position, which we have Ms. Shirley Robinson overseeing that. And we also created a deaf coordinator position that oversees the work of our counselors that are dealing with those specific populations.
Thank you. Okay, let's hear from our citizens, Mr. Wells, and we may call you back and the senator back. DJ McIntyre. Let's try it again.
Sorry, I'm trying to restrain children at the same time. Thank you, committee, for hearing our bill. This has been in the works for over 10 years that I've been down to the Capitol working on a commission for the blind. As you can see, I am sighted. However, my mom is blind. She now suffers from dementia. And so she cannot tell you her story. She's going to speak, and she's going to speak from her talking points from Georgia Council of the Blind. But I want to tell her story of what it was like when we were trying to work with vocational rehabilitation before it became GVRA. So her story starts in 2005. My parents separated, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She homeschooled 4 of us kids, all of a sudden had to get in the workforce. Now she has a college degree in elementary education, a music education, a minor in English. So she has the skills. She went through school. She was blind from birth. So this isn't someone who has no education. She only lacked the technology, the screen reader, being able to have the money to afford that and to hire a counselor. We opened up a case with VR and we were tossed around between counselors. We were tossed around between, well, we don't know if we can get that equipment. We didn't want to use what the computer program JAWS that most people used. So we had actually, some people had fundraised for us and we got another program for a screen reader. And I took on, as a 17-year-old by 2007, teaching my mom how to use a computer. Now she's used a Braille computer her whole life. But, you know, if you can think of having your Word document open and your email open at the same time, and you can see both of those. Now try doing that with your eyes closed, figuring out which window you're on. And it was a very difficult thing to take someone who's never used a computer to get to the level where she could do the computer work. We found her own job. When we found her job, we contacted her counselor and said she has a job as a Braille transcriptionist. So she's going to be putting Word documents, digital files into Braille for a blind child. Can we get some training? Because now we have a job. We did this legwork. Can you come? They said, we don't have anyone who can do that. So again, I took on the role of teaching her how to use the screen reader with these other programs to do that. She was able to keep that job for 4 years, was able to do great things. She also did after hours elite program. Then she ended up getting let go because there's a special code in Braille for math for high school. And mom's like, I can't do this. It's a whole different code. It's really difficult. I'm just not equipped for this job. So they let her go. And we totally understand that. So now we're back to square one. She still's raising small children. You know, she still needs to have an income. We don't want to live on disability. We don't want to live on child support. So we opened up a case again. Every 5 to 6 months, we had a new counselor. So we start all over again. I'm totally blind. I have a bachelor's degree. I have computer training from my daughter. I've worked a job. I want to find something in customer service. And they're like, well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Well, we had some ends with Georgia Council of the Blind and we're aware of a specialized training in New York, a Statler Center. It was a 6-week program. She had to go in person. So she left her 14-year-old daughter with me and my husband while she left for 6 weeks to go do this training. It was for the customer service. It was for hotels, booking companies, things like that. And we were told, well, when you come back, we'll get a counselor with you. We'll get you the job. Like you're going for this training. We can make sure this happens. Got back from that training and VR just said, make sure you're applying to 5 jobs a week. For those of you who've ever looked for jobs online and seen how crazy those online forms are, imagine doing that with a screen reader. Most forms are not even readable because people don't know how to build websites that are tagged. So then I was helping her apply to jobs, and the few that her counselor, when we had counselors sending jobs, didn't even make sense, like totally blind. And she has, you know, she can get certain places, she can hire a driver, but she can't see. And the one that cracked me up, and I will always tell this story, is they sent us one for a local library. And I was like, oh, cool. You know, mom could maybe answer phones. That's what I'm thinking. Blind person. No, the counselor sent us a job for my mom to work part-time, putting books on a shelf at a library. And I'm like, do you not understand what blind means? And I realized that specialized counselors are hard to come by, but even someone with just a basic caring heart and trying to understand the community could reach out to any of the groups here locally in our state. We have Georgia Council of the Blind. I know the NFB has a branch here, or even our national organizations, to just get some basic training, a basic understanding of what a blind person can do, instead of saying, you're a blind person, you sit at home, you read books, and that's all you want to do. Instead of, we want to have a job. We don't want to be taking that disability money. Like, we don't want to be sitting at home. We want to be contributing to the greater good. We want to feel like we're a part of the community. And I feel like the commission bill is going to do that, because it's from cradle to grave. From the time you have a newborn who is blind, you can already be reaching those parents. Here's what your kid's potential is. Here's the training they need. Here's all of this stuff. So when they get to their high school level, they don't even have to decide. They already know, hey, I want to go be a lawyer. We have one of the gentlemen in our group who is training to be a lawyer, who graduated UGA. He's on to more training. And I'm like, look at you, like, you have your heart set and you're doing that. And that's what we want to do. And for those who are newly blind, we want to be able to say, hey, you can't use a screen reader. You don't even know what a screen reader is. You don't even know how to use your computer now that you can't see. Here's someone who's going to come and just teach you the basics. We need to bring back that homemaker program, which I believe is in the bill. For those who don't know, never have had a blind person in my life, what do I do? I don't even know if I can cook. Can I cook? Can I use a stove? Can I walk to my mailbox? I don't even know how to get to my mailbox without vision. Being able to come alongside those newly blind people and say, you can do this. Here's people who have done this. Here's training to just start off with the basics, or someone who all of a sudden has no vision and nowhere to turn, and to say, okay, would you like to get a job, or are you, older? Would you like to just retire? And let that be that person's decision, instead of it feeling more like the counselor says, oh, you're 55, you don't need a job anymore. When I'm of the opinion, hey, you work until you're done working. Like, I want to work till I'm 80, I don't want to stop. So I really appreciate you guys being here. If there's questions, feel free to ask me, or I'll pass it on to the rest of them.
Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? DJ, thank you so much. I know I've gotten to hear you before, and this was very nice to have you here today. Thank you. Cicely Nippers. I didn't even know you had a friend with you. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Shadow, my guide dog. She assists me in getting around. I cannot speak more eloquently to you all than my colleague Danielle has done, except to say that I am a current blind client of vocational rehabilitation, GVS. And while I feel that my counselor, to whom I have finally been assigned after over 3 months of trying to complete an application because it is not yet online, I'm very excited to hear that they want to put the referral online, because that would make such a difference in applying if you indeed have the technology to do it. I am currently working. I am looking for technology to use a talking computer as a person who has newly experienced a dramatic loss in my vision. Before, I could use a magnifier and do my work. Now, to do my job, I need that speech. I need that voice talking computer in order to do it. So I'm looking for support from VR for that. In December, when I received the diagnosis from my doctor that yes, this was a new loss and no, they couldn't fix it, I immediately contacted VR to have a case reopened. They had given me some assistance prior, about 10 years ago. So I can see some of the differences. I did attend the Wednesday at noon online informational setting that was provided to talk to me about the process. I have not found that that informational talk has exactly lined up with my experience, in that despite my calling every week, it has taken so long to receive a counselor. My counselor readily admits that she's overwhelmed. I must be one of those cases that still has a counselor who's serving people who are not blind as well as people who are, because she seems a little lost as to what to do with me at times, which is a challenge. And those are some of the reasons that we're seeking a dedicated commission, because all the people that would be working with us every step of the way would be familiar with blindness and our needs. And it would mean so much to us to finally reach this goal. There are those who have come before me who have worked for this, as she said, for over 10 years. As for myself, my admittance into the blind community came over 10 years ago, but leadership in the community has been a more recent development. And as I lead, I want to be a good leader. If it goes that way, I want to continue to work with vocational rehabilitation as to how improvements can be made. The door is definitely open for that. But we are seeking a commission, and these are some of the reasons why. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here today. Betsy. Wait a minute. I want to see if I can get it. Granovich.
Daughter's getting permission to be called Miss G as a teacher instead of her name, so.
Now, Betsy, I know I've heard you before too,
It's
and I'm
Granovich, yeah,
very
but
proud that you're here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There's one thing missing from Mr. Wells's speech. If you paid attention closely, he talked about employed blind people or potential employed blind people such as students. What about those who are newly blind, or like Cecily alluded to, from birth? up? Those parents, how do they get help? What about those who, like me, can no longer work but still need some training so you can survive on your own? Those are not covered by GVRA. Their focus is employment. So I'm going to give you, y'all received all these talking points because I know my daughter sent them to you, but I want to review a couple of them with you. There are 28 states with the commission. And if you look at their records, they have more blind people's needs who are being met than those states who do not have a commission. And that's because the commission model is from birth to grave. There's no in between. There's no, you have to be ready to work. You have to do this. It's if you are blind or deafblind, we're going to help you meet your needs where you are. Also, when people do not receive the skills they need, if they want to go look for work, they can't get a job anyway because they don't have the right skills. If it wasn't for my daughter, I wouldn't be using the computer today. This one or the print one. She's had to learn these too sometimes, these Braille note takers. Those that are employed, even, could you live on $14,000 a year? That's what the average is. GIB or the industries, 14,000. And the job market in Georgia is not open as in other states because the ones that have commission, those people are trained whether they're going to work or not. So if they decide to go to work, they're ready. Also Braille, and I'm glad you brought it up. I can listen to stuff auditorily, but I'll take Braille any day of the week. None of us in our blind communities have known any about these changes that he's talking about because we haven't been told them. They haven't come to any of our lists. They haven't been in Braille, that's for sure. And so there's a lot of us out there, like you said, the deafblind people, they can't listen to a computer. They need it in Braille to either pull it off on one of these note takers or in hard copy. Yes, it's expensive, but that's what we need. And so the proficiency in Braille is definitely not being met in our state by any means, where with the commission it would be. How many blind people do you say he's got employed? Two. Two blind people can't meet the needs of 260,000 people. And a blind person is going to understand what you need more than a sighted person unless they've been in the field for a long time. I had a friend who was really good at it, but she's gone now. And people who've come blind as seniors, they need to be, 65 and older, they need to be helped too. They have a lot more needs than sighted people do at that age. Also, concerning the GLS concerns, which Senator Davenport did a good job addressing, but I want to share our points there too. The language that's in this bill was in the original VR bill. Nothing was changed. It's the same exact language that was pulled over. And we're not trying to take over their program. We just want to make sure that with the Commission for the Blind, they'll be getting, the eligible individuals will be getting set up with the library that are not now. We're getting reports from different people that they can't get the services they're supposed to from it. We also want to make sure that the state program is doing its job to make sure all individuals are receiving those services. And that's what the commission is totally focused on blind people and deafblind people. There's no other counselors that would be working on anyone else's needs. And then we're also concerned that since most of the program went digital, a lot of the regional libraries have shut down. And that's causing some issues too, because that means some services that were provided on the local level are no longer being provided. So those are our concerns. And as my daughter said, I may have dementia now, but I still know what the needs are because I still live it. And I'm just so thankful that I had one of my 4 kids who's good enough at the computer to get me where I'm at today. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Betsy. I'm amazed at how fast you can read and speak. It just amazes me. She sure could. She sure could. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got about 10 minutes. There is a meeting after us. Was there, everybody got to be heard? Is that right? Okay. Mr. Wells, I think you heard a lot today, haven't you? Let me see what the pleasure of this board is and where are we headed? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'll be brief. I think when we talked to someone at the commission, there was never any talk about, this is my first time hearing about 25%, and they were opposed to it. My understanding was as long as the money would follow the commission, it would be fine. The advocacy group, the blind community came to me saying to please help them because they were not getting the services. And even in the Senate committee, the chairman wanted to hear from Mr. Wells and his group. And it took him 6 calls before he got an answer, a call back. And I think he brought that up in the Senate meeting. Mr. Wells was not there. But we want to make sure that these people, the people in the blind community, get the services they need. I was pressured on one of the, pushed on one of the accounts about providing that this agency providing the services. As state senator, I'm not here to say that an agency is not doing their job. I'm just here to help this group. And the Georgia State Senate and I have told them that they are caring and sharing people in the Georgia General Assembly. And we heard this and we voted it out of the committee, and we're here to help them and not to bash an agency for not helping them.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye. And those opposed, like sign.
No.
Yes,
Yes.
let's do a roll call. Why don't we do that?
Nay.
Let's do some discussion. Let's have a little discussion. Again, you guys, we've got a short period, so let's keep it short. 29.
Me, just real quick, I just got questions about, the efficiencies, considering comparing existing, what are the problems, the delivery channels, allowing that department to at least present what they are doing to address the concerns before we create a brand new commission. I'm kind of 50-50, but I'm not convinced that creating a brand new standalone will effectively meet the objectives of the folks, but I'm persuadable. I just don't have enough information that's been presented today for me to vote to just create a brand new commission at this point.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative White. Number 28.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, looking at it from a little different perspective, first of all, I like the idea. I hear the concerns, and I think it's a very good idea. But my concern is due to the intermingling of resources within the GVRA. I'm concerned that we're going to, without proper budget consideration, we're going to create a underfunded commission and leave an underfunded agency. So I have fiscal concerns about the idea. I don't see how we can take a portion of an agency out, create a new commission with it, and not increase the potential expenses with overheads and that sort of thing.
Thank you. Number 4, Representative McLeod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I guess I'm one of the ones that I understand where they are. Right now, for 10 years, 12 years, the visually impaired they've been put on the back burner. Don't get me wrong. I think that right now is the time for us to make sure that we take care of that segment of the population from birth to cradle. And I'm not saying that the Georgia Vocational Rehab has not been doing that, but I do think that a commission that's dedicated, that's only for the blind, is a whole lot better than someone that has 5 or 6 different specifics. So, Madam Chair, I just want the public to know, and I also want them to know that I do understand where you're coming from, because you do need that. I agree. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Number 12, is that you? Thank you.
I just want to say something similar. If they've been trying for this for 10 years, that means what's been going on hasn't been working. And they've come back multiple times, and they're the ones that are here, not other vocations that come under that department. They are putting in the time and the energy, and they clearly have demonstrated that they need it. And so I will be voting for the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 10, is that you, Representative Mello?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. Just want to remind the members of this committee, it was not until maybe 10 years ago when the state finally corrected legislation where folks who were blind could actually keep their children, because before that, they were forced to have their children taken away from them. And so moving this bill out of committee today is a step forward in the right direction for those who are blind and visually impaired, because for a long time, they have not received the proper services from this state and treated as equal members of this community. And to kick the can down the road is not something I think we should do, because on lines 125 all the way down to 138, it talks about who's made up on this and how they're appointed and what goes on. But right at line 20 and 22, it says that the chairperson and members shall be qualified to serve based on knowledge and experience in rehabilitation and related services for the blind or visually impaired. A majority of the members shall be blind or visually impaired. And so this is about individuals being appointed to this commission that are likewise and share in the infirmities of those who are blind or visually impaired, and not people with sight telling people who are blind how to figure out and how to make it work. I think we need to do the right thing.
Thank you. Number 16.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Mitchell.
And I think I just want to echo some of the comments of my colleagues, but also this is a very large community. When you're thinking about the number of people being served here and the ability to have a commission that is specifically focused on the needs of that community, led by folks who are in that community, or at least board members who are in that community, it's going to be a lot more efficient as an agency providing services for folks, because it really does both understand the needs of folks and will be more able to structure hiring in a way that will hire people who understand the needs, which sounds like is one of the biggest efficiency gaps right now in the system. So I do encourage folks to vote yes on this bill, because I think it will be a meaningful improvement for, it sounds like, 260,000 Georgians. Thank you.
What I'd like to do is recognize the motion to table.
Madam Chairman, sorry.
Who is that? Oh, I thought I heard it.
I have a question online if I can, Madam Chairman.
Who is that? Okay. Who is that? Can you hold on just 1 second? I'm trying to
Yes, ma'am.
hurry this process along here. My biggest concern is the fiscal note. There is no fiscal note with this. And I'm afraid when it gets to rules, it's going to get kicked back because of that.
And I understand the gentleman would like to make a motion, but I think that motion is out of order. I think we need to have a roll call, Chair. I'm not a chairman, but I'm talking about Robert's rules of order.
Okay. Oh, that's why I'd like to table it. Okay, hold on. Representative Singleton.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I was trying to chime in a second ago, but the biggest concern and the reason I think motion to table is the most appropriate is because there's, I understand the intent behind it. I understand completely. I think it's a noble intent, but we don't understand what's the administrative cost of the new commission going to be. Are they going to have a human resources department set up, and all the other costs are going to come with the commission? I think that to be fiscally responsible, we need to fully understand the cost of those. And also how much resources this commission is going to get from the current commissioner, who's going to be losing his oversight over this. I don't think anyone has really given us a firm grasp on exactly how much money would go with this commission and who is the determinant of what monies do go.
I'd like counsel, can you help us get through this? I understand that the money, the finances will follow the commission. I understand also that this commission, who would be the oversight of this? And we may need a study committee on this if they're coming out of an existing agency. What's the legality behind that?
So if the money is coming from an agency already in existence, it would just flow through to the commission. It would have already been appropriated, so there wouldn't need to be a fiscal note on it per se. So now as to how much money is going to be appropriated, I can't speak to that, but it would have already been in the budget.
And that would be a separate budget for the industry of the blind or.
I'm not sure logistically how that would be broken out, how they would determine whether it's percentage or dollar amount or whatnot. Just that because it's already allocated, we don't have to worry about the fiscal note.
Okay. Let's take a vote by hands. Though. I have a motion. Did I have a second? Okay, I did have a second. Okay, I'll have a motion and a second. All those in favor raise their hand.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
just point of clarification, what are we voting on? What's the motion?
the bill itself do pass.
Thank you. Yes, Representative Shannon online.
And
Representative Hobson, yes. Representative Camp, nay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anybody else online?
Did you get
That's a no-
Hobson as a yes? Okay, thank you.
And it's a no for Singleton.
No for
To repeat the no's again, Camp, Singleton,
Irwin.
Irwin. Is there anybody else online? Okay, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. A no. So we've got 4 and 3 is 7. So the motion fails. 7 to 6. I mean, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on there. How many online was yes? I got 1.
Hobson, yes.
Hobson, I got Hobson.
Shannon, yes.
Okay, so that's
And
8 to 7.
Representative Maynard put in the chat that she's here, but that she supports, but she's unable to speak.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. So it's 7 to 7, isn't it? I break the tie. It's 7 to 7. So I'm gonna
I'm not sure a text vote counts, Madam Chairman.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maynard did not vote.
It's in the chat. Media services can see it.
Can you see it? She came on after the fact. I can't count her vote. Are you
She came
sure?
on, Madam Chair, she came on at 1:16.
She voted at 1:16?
No, I'm referencing when she put in the chat that she's here listening and in support, but is unable to speak.
I'm not sure that a chat text qualifies as a legal vote, Madam Chairman.
Like council, does that count if she voted at 1:16?
She's asking now, can you let me know when to say yes?
She's on now.
She's on right now.
Aye.
So that's 8 to 7. So now it's 8 to 7, right? Okay. Yeah, then I can vote to break the tie. I can. Okay, so the motion carried then. It'll move on to rules.
That's all right.